countdown. We are gone. Happy Tuesday, and what a Tuesday it's going to be. It's a short work week this week, but it is Tuesday. And if you don't know what you're watching, hey, here we are. It is the Imperfect Action live stream coming to you on Tuesday. Who am I? I am Rob Fenstermaker, former corporate burnout survivor turned kingdom builder. You're a kingdom builder. What do? I help get you out of the rut. You know what? One point I used to be stuck in that rut. I didn't know what I wanted out of life, and I had somebody come along and show me the way. That's what I do now. I help you get out of the rut by showing you what it is you can do. But you know what? It takes you to do the action to get that done. Hey, a couple things going on this week. It is a short week this Friday. It's a virtual Friday whiskey hour. Go ahead and stop on by. You know what? There's no requirement to drink whiskey. We just always have some great conversations. But you know what? If you want to drink whiskey, nothing wrong with that. If you want to have a beer, hey, that's great. If you want to have some wine, or if you don't want to drink anything, I don't care. Just stop on by. Next Tuesday is the Iron Sharpens Iron community. Have that Tuesday at 11 o'clock. It's just an opportunity to bring people together and just create that community as we support one another to do the best that we can in life, because that's what life's about. It's an opportunity to do the best that you can. And with that, my guest today, Nerdy Matt, also known as Matt Roseman, he will help to reduce the stress around your technological world. I know I have all kinds of stress with technology. He has out-of-the-box solutions to empower you to do that. Matt, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Rob. I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, it's a short week. Short week. You know, I woke up this morning thinking it was Monday. I'm like, wait a minute. No, this is Tuesday. Yesterday, Memorial Day. You know, that's always one of my favorite days of the year. Memorial Day. I always have my little traditions that I do. And during Memorial Day week, I've done this for the past 20 years. I actually just watched the first 3 episodes of Band of Brothers. 20 years ago, I was able to visit Normandy American Cemetery. And to say that is sacred ground is an understatement. And, you know, I know that they always take children, as what they should. They always, you know, when they're my children, they took them to the Gettysburg battlefield. But I would love to see schools take their children over to Normandy to visit that, because to me, that is the greatest generation this country has ever known. And if you've ever had the opportunity to walk Normandy American Cemetery, literally, it takes your breath away because it is sacred ground. So how'd you spend? How was your Memorial Day?
Mine was definitely a hybrid per se, because I had work in the morning, and then the rest of the day I ended up doing chores, talking to people. There is a guy who runs my men's group who is retired Army, so I thanked him for his service. My brother's in the Navy, and so for me, a lot of that day tends to be lost on picnics and barbecuing and hot dogs and hamburgers and having a day off. But for me, it was also the fact that so many people have died for this country ever since the colonial days, and so that is not lost on me, especially for somebody who's active in the military. That's family. So it hits more close to home to me. So yes, I acknowledge all those things that are part of Memorial Day. Like, for example, I bought a new TV because of Memorial Day sale, but I didn't negate the whole purpose of the day and the significance of it. And I have visited some of those places in Washington D.C., in Baltimore, what have you. So I do appreciate that aspect of the fact that we have to remember the people that have given themselves to this country to have what we have right now. Is the country perfect? Absolutely not. But
Yeah,
considering,
absolutely not.
yeah, but considering the rest of the world, it could be a lot worse than where we are now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I agree. And I have been to Arlington Cemetery, and to watch the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Yeah,
That's something else that's powerful. And it's just the men that are part of that honor guard. It's a passion for them. It's a lifelong passion, and they do it and serve it in a way that um, honors those that have come before them. And that is what Memorial Day is about: is honoring those that have come before us, because those that are in war, some gave all and all gave some, and that's what we have to remember. And that's the importance of a day like Memorial Day. And I agree. There's and it doesn't frustrate me that people don't recognize it, but when we forget our history, we're doomed. And that's just part of our history as to who we are as a country, and we can never forget that. Absolutely never forget that.
sure. And
But
um, for example, for me, especially with my Jewish lineage, you can't forget
mhm,
history because look at where we are
no,
now. And
right.
so, being in that minority, you definitely are reminded about history because
Yeah,
unfortunately it's repeating itself to a
yeah,
certain extent. So, um,
exactly. I
I'm,
mean,
I'm, with-
those same those same hatreds from the 30s are coming back, and I don't think they
exactly.
ever
And so,
really left. But people feel more emboldened now to state what's really, and that does concern me.
yeah, and to me, for anybody who knows me and knows me well enough, I'm a pussycat. So I want to get along with everybody because, I know. Well, I mean, you saw my friend here who can do it. Who's gonna
Yes.
sit there and want to hate on you for having this cute guy right here? The label says ages 3 and up. I barely qualify. So it's
Yeah.
like, I'm more open to other cultures and other religions and
Mhm.
other, sexualities and genders because I've been discriminated against personally, for being
Yeah.
being Jewish, not for anything else. And I'm kind to no matter who you are. I don't care ethnic background, sexuality,
Mhm.
religion. As long as I get along with you, that's ultimately that matters. I see past all
Yeah.
that bullshit, and to me, it's the human being, not their background per se.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned your Judaism, and I know that for many people that are Jews, they have that perception of trying to be a difference maker in this world, and trying to lift others up because of what they have gone through, the struggles
Yeah,
they have gone through. And it's all, we all have a story in our life. And the story of Judaism is one of victory. It's one of struggle. It's one of it's well, I mean, you can speak it better than I can, but I mean, I'm definitely a student of the Bible. And when I really study the Bible, one of the things that has empowered me is trying to take the words that are in the Bible from that Jewish perspective. Because when you got to place yourself in that time frame, and that's when I get my deepest impact of understanding what the Bible says to me.
yeah, and that's for me. It's important because that's where it all started. Obviously,
Mhm.
Christianity is a off branch of Judaism, but more importantly, that's one thing that was always instilled in me, even as a kid, is that I wasn't that religious, in terms of going to synagogue or shul every
Yeah.
Friday, unless I was going to my bar mitzvah. But more importantly, it was always remembering your past, always
Yeah.
remembering people that either have died that are significant, significance in your life, or people that are
Mhm.
sick that are suffering. And so,
Yeah.
um, like when my mom died last year, it was difficult not just when she did, but also like the first Mother's Day and her birthday.
Hmm.
And in
Yeah.
Judaism, it's called lighting a yurtzeit candle or murrah candle. And then it's like
Mhm.
seal, which we talked about, private, off the stream, where you basically say the Mordis Kaddish or a prayer for the dying. So you
Yeah.
acknowledge the people in your life that have been there.
Mhm.
So Memorial Day is basically the American version of what I do already. And so that's why I acknowledge the day because I practice it in my life already where you don't forget about the people and your past that has brought you to where you are now.
Yeah, very good. Very well stated. So your life, now you're into the IT world. What got you into the IT world?
I could blame my father on this one. So basically, I was a kid back in the 80s, and I was 8 years old, and he was an accountant, and his company bought him one of the first IBM PCX teams. And for those of you who don't know what that is or are too young to understand, that was one of the first IBM computers that had a hard drive built in. I know we all have hard drives built into our computers now, but at the time it was a luxury, and it was slower than my dating life, but more importantly, more importantly, it ran DOS, which is all commands. And I was 8 years old. And my dad taught me how to use DOS, and he did Lotus 1-2-3, which was the accounting program before Excel. So that's what was being used. And so I learned how to use a computer, and then that what got me interested. And so when I was 13, I built my first computer with him, and back then they didn't have the internet, and so how did you sit there and build a computer and get all the parts? Well, before you had the convenience of Amazon, you had something called Computer Shopper, and Computer Shopper was basically a 500-page book of basically all these different technology or computer vendors. I mean, the book was so fucking thick. Every time they put one out, they killed goddamn tree. So when I was 13 years old, we just called a whole bunch of vendors, we ordered a whole bunch of parts, and between my dad and I, we put that machine together, and that's what got me interested. And the rest is history, as they say. So.
Yeah, very good. I took 2 computer science classes back when I went to the Ohio State University, and this is how long ago it was, back in the 80s, mid 80s. And the 2 languages they taught were Fortran and COBOL. Yeah, okay. So I could give you an idea of how long ago that was. And but even back then, I remember listening to some of the professors, and they were already talking about the idea of artificial intelligence. And here we are. We are on this precipice of, this new AI world. I don't know what that looks like. I mean, I know what it looks like, but I don't know where this is going to lead us. I don't know where this is going to take us. I see too many people that act like AI is the panacea of everything, and I don't know. There's some good, there's some bad, and there's some ugly that's going to happen with AI, and we need to understand, all that's going to happen moving forward.
Well, this is a golden opportunity for me to chime in. So, right now, AI or where it's going, and I actually thought of this epiphany, yesterday. This is almost like George Orwell in 1984.
I agree.
This is where we are now. I'll tell you why. For those of you who've been living under a rock and not Dwayne Johnson, because he can't smell what I'm cooking, is Microsoft has released new laptops with built-in AI chips, put up by a small company you may heard of called Qualcomm. Qualcomm makes the brains in your Android phone, and they also make the modem and the Wi-Fi for your iPhone. So not exactly a small company. They specifically partnered with Qualcomm to design laptops for Windows. There's a new version of Windows from the ground up that's specifically designed for AI. And what does it do? The first thing, which is great and petrifying at the same time, is called recall. And what it does is that every 3 to 5 seconds, it takes a snapshot of what you're doing. And at some point, you can stop the recall. You can have a timeline, and you go backwards and forwards to see everything that you did. And so let's say you made a mistake. You could pull Martin McFly, go back in time, and then copy the information from that time period, and then move it to to where you are now, which is great in practice. The thing is, how much is Microsoft tracking what you're doing? Now they claim that you can turn off the recall where
Right.
it doesn't work, or they claim that it's going just in-house or just on the computer, not being sent to the cloud. I'll believe
Yeah.
that when I see it is uh, the telemetry or the telemetry or sending back to
Yeah.
Microsoft actually occurring. The second thing
Yeah.
which is interesting, the second thing that they're doing is, let's say we're on a call like we are now. We have a Zoom, we have Teams, we have Google Meet. Their AI will be able to translate, if people speak different languages, up to 45 different languages in real time, so everybody can converse and understand what the other people are saying, even if it's different languages, which is pretty
Yeah.
intriguing.
That's intriguing. I have seen that. I have seen that. You know what? I seem to remember reading something about that in the Bible. It's called the Tower of Babel.
Interesting.
Just saying. I'm
Yeah.
just
So,
saying.
yeah, and the icing on the cake is that it will also enhance your picture quality. So you can have your collage or your gallery of pictures, and with these specific laptops, you can just right click on a picture, have the AI modify it, and then you'll give it the best impression of that picture based on brightness, contrast, depth, color tone, what have you, and do all the work rendering in house. Besides having Copilot, which is their basically ChatGPT or their AI agent. Supposedly, it will also include ChatGPT 4.0, which basically is better voice recognition, almost like Kit from like Knight Rider back in the 80s. It'll be on that level where it sounds more human. So again, I love the fact that technology is moving forward. It scares the shit out of
It
me,
does.
where
It
the
does.
piracy and the invasiveness comes in, like George Orwell 1984.
Yeah. I took a political theory class at Ohio State University, and we had to read two books, 1984 and Brave New World. And if you don't think we're living in those times right now, we are. And even back in the 80s, I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, this all right. Yeah, how are we going to get to? We're there. We're there. And I mentioned, we kind of mentioned, touched on it. The hatreds of the 1930s are back, but just think of some of those dictators back in the 30s had this technology that exists now. How different that time would have been.
I bet that the U.S. would have lost the war, and I would not be here right now.
Yeah. If Hitler and Stalin had that technology, and
I would not be right.
It scares
I'm
me.
not pushing you. I would not be here right now. So.
It scared me, but interesting. Yeah. Well, you know what? But I'm starting to hear more people come out and just, kind of just let's pump the brakes a little bit here. This is not the be all end all. But to me, AI is a tool. It's just a tool. You got to know how to use the right tool for the right thing. And yes, does it have applications? 100%. I absolutely believe it has applications. But you got to know how to use it properly. And if you think it's going to solve all your problems, and no.
I mean, does it help to delegate tasks? Absolutely. Will it help in terms of your workflow? Yes. Will it help you in terms of, like, for example, I have one that is for marketing and sales, and that helps in that respect. But again, the big pushback is going to come where at some point it will be too much technology, too much intrusive, and like Warren G and Nate Dogg, we're going to have to regulate. And so that's exactly what's going to sit there and happen. Is that there's going to be a pushback there, and there's going to be some government standards because it'll get too powerful. And what are Microsoft and Google and ChatGPT and all these other variations of AI? What are they mining for your data? And what are they using, and how can they track you? So again, we are going to hit that point. I think it's going to happen sooner than later.
We are, and then we forget that that's how some of these social media and technological have made their billions, is through the data they're collecting. That's their goal, is the data they're collecting.
Yep, it's called data scraping or data mining, where they mine your information. I mean, your phone is a gold mine for all these free apps. There's no free lunch. And so they are tracking where you're going, what you're doing, what device you have, your patterns. It's like the Rockwell song from the 80s. You feel like somebody was always watching me and you got no privacy. Well, him and Rockwell and Michael Jackson knew what they were talking about. So
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It is creepy when, I just will look up something that I want to purchase, and all of a sudden all those ads are popping into my, social media feed. So that does get a little creepy. But, the one thing that, I'm hearing some people really talk about, and I think this is going to be a real thing, is with, this such people pushing towards AI, the impact on mental health. And if one thing that we did see during the pandemic that impacted mental health was that lack of connection, that lack of human connection. And I can see that being a real issue where people are relying on their AI for that connection, but it's not really a connection because we still need that human connection in order to support our mental health.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, we are social creatures by nature. And so it's
Yes.
only in the past, I'd say 100 years that, humans have had really this, maybe 150 years, if you want to stretch it, to have this, industrial society. Before
Yeah.
it was, farming and, hunting and, gathering and some, craft work, what have you. But it had most of human history has not been as technologically advanced, or as structured society as we have. So we started as cave people, where you had to sit there and stay with the clan in order to survive and eat. So, and that is still inherent in terms of who we are. We're still social creatures, no matter how much technology is put in front of us. I know. I mean, I'm painfully nerdy. I mean, my pocket protector right now is getting serviced. So I know about being in technology, how great it is, but also I know how important the human interaction and contact with meaningful people are, like yourself, Rob.
Yeah. And just think about this, how fast technology has advanced. Just a little bit over 100 years ago, the primary mode of transportation was a horse.
Yes.
And it had always been a horse for thousands of years before. Yes, we still have horses, but look where we've come with, transportation. And, we're, going to the outer reaches of the universe now.
Yeah,
And,
well, I mean, at this point, we told the horses to go say nay. And so, because guess what? It wouldn't behoove them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So when you're working with people to help them, create their technological needs, or, what are some of the biggest pain points that some of your customers have when they come to you?
I think it's a multitude of things. Really, it's the fact that the functionality is not there.
Yeah.
For example, I'll give you a perfect example. I worked throughout the weekend, and I had one client who I ran a program for to maintain his computer, and it would blue screen and crash. Just for running that program, but yet that program would run fine on other machines. So there was an inherent problem there where certain maintenance couldn't take place. So I helped to get a new machine. I had one lady who wanted to upgrade her infotainment system in her house, and so I told her to get an Apple TV so she can stream like things like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime Video or other free services, because she's retired and she watches a lot of TV, and there's so many good streaming services on that that are online now. And so her TV was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And then I said to her, you're doing yourself a disservice by using an Apple TV with a 12-year-old TV. It's time to upgrade. So I had to play Bob Vila, because there's an old piece of furniture there. It only has a certain width and a certain length and a certain depth. So I had to find a TV that would fit in there and would not sit there and fall and tip over. But I had to find something that was modern. And so I got her an LG OLED TV that was on sale from Costco, set that up, and I got her Apple TV working. Now it's a whole new experience because she has vision problems and she has hearing issues. So with the new TV, she can sit there and see better and hear better. So things like those instances is where I help shine to help people get the most out of their technology.
Okay. And so, but you also can work with people in the virtual world. You don't need to be face to face with them. You're able to work virtually or face to face, whatever the customer's need is.
Yeah, I mean, can I do everything remotely? Absolutely not. I can't like pull like a Terminator and put my hand through the screen yet. I'm sure that's coming. Arnold would say, "Come with me if you want to live. Get to the chopper." I'm sure it'll happen at some point. But to me, yes, to me, I can do about 70-80% of my work remotely. The other 20%, you would have to get somebody else locally if it's a physical problem that I can't fix because I'm a certain distance away. But most things,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Now you're in South Florida. I mean, I'm in South. Actually, I'm in Ohio right now, but I live down in South Florida. We're just on the opposite coast. I mean, you're literally probably completely due east from me, from where I live. So that's where your clients you're working with, face to face. They're going to be in that area, South Florida area.
Yeah, yeah. But to me, have Matt will travel. So, for example, I've flown
Okay.
up to South Carolina. I've gone to Pennsylvania. I've gone to New York.
Okay.
I've gone to Baltimore. I've gone to Vegas. So, if somebody really wants me out, transportation when it works is a great thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Now, how long have you had your company? When did you first launch your company?
2006.
Okay. So you were just kind of right on the cusp of the internet era at that point. I'm just trying to think back. So yeah, that was kind of really when the internet took off, 2006. Is that
Well,
about
no,
right?
the internet actually took off around, I would say, probably 1999, 2000,
Oh
because
yeah, you're right. Yeah, what am I thinking? Yes,
yeah,
yes, you're right.
yeah,
You're right.
the pivotal shift was getting off of dial-up. For those of
Yeah.
you who are old
Like I
enough to
said,
remember
oh
what
yes,
that is.
yes. My first computer, we had AOL dial-up.
Yeah,
Whatever that
exactly.
was.
And that is what's known as handshaking when it makes all that noise. And I remember that very fondly. So it's true. So basically, for those of you who don't know or are too young to know, basically before the internet we just got on, you had to dial a phone number to get on the internet,
Oh,
and then
yeah,
you would
that's
have to
right.
call the line. And then what would happen
Yeah.
if somebody can't pick up the phone, you would drop your internet connection, and somebody would yell to get off the goddamn phone because they couldn't make a phone call.
That's
So
right. I forgot.
yeah,
I
yeah,
bought my first home computer. It would have been in 1995. I had won 4 World Series tickets to a Cleveland Indians Atlanta Braves World Series game. It's game 3 in Cleveland. I had won 4 tickets, and they were literally 2 rows behind home plate. I had Bud Selig sitting in front of me. I could have patted him on top of the head. Bud Selig, the former commissioner. So I took 2 of the tickets and sold the other 2, and I made, I don't know, $4,000 off those 2 tickets. And then went out and bought a Macintosh for my
wow.
family, and still had money left over. So that was my first computer. Home computer was a Macintosh.
Well, thank God it wasn't a Packard Bell. So so anyway, what happened, which is great because to me the Macs of those age are classics. But what happened in '99, 2000 is DSL and cable technology started coming out. So
Yeah,
when you started having those broadband connections, that's when the internet really took off.
yeah, yeah. And then Y2K, the whole
Oh,
Y2. Yeah, I mean, good grief. I mean, come on, come on. We acted like it was the end of the world, and I don't think anything. I know nothing happened after the whole Y2K. What's going to happen? Well, nothing
yeah. And what's
happened. And
funny is that, for example, people don't realize Amazon started out as a bookstore.
yeah, you're right. All right. I
And
remember their ads. They
yep.
had like a jazz, the whole, I remember the ads, they listened to them
Yep.
on, terrestrial radio. I mean, that's still barely a thing, but they
And
had the Amazon and they had like a jazz band playing. And so, yeah.
and look at where they are now. So it's amazing how far it's come within 25 years. And if you think about it, all kind of purposes in the span of human history or the span of the world, we are basically a pin drop of where we of just getting started.
I agree.
Personal
I
computers
agree.
have only been around for about 45 years. That's not a long span of time. And look at how far it's come in 45 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. I agree. I don't, I'm always an optimist for what the future holds. I mean, I have faith in humanity, that as people, we will do the right thing. And I think that the truth will always prevail, but sometimes sometimes you have to wonder. You just get a little, But you know, it's no different than every generation. Every generation thinks, you know, this is the end. My goodness, look what these kids are doing now. Look where this world is going now. So it's nothing. You know, I like to say, there's nothing new under the sun. And the same things we're debating now are the same things we've been debating for thousands of years. We just think we're a little more sophisticated because we give them fancy names, but it's the same garbage that we're dealing with. Nothing new.
Well, unfortunately, humanity has progressed, but it's also in some aspects also regressed.
Oh, I
Uh,
agree. I agree.
yeah. So, for example, like social media is supposed to bind us all together, but yet it makes us more
Divided.
divisive and
Yes.
more
Yeah.
like communistic or totalitarian, where it's only one secular way of thinking, and then there's the cancel culture, where if you don't think
Yeah.
the way everybody else does in social media, we're not just going to disagree with you. We're going to absolutely ruin your life in every aspect
Yeah.
because we don't approve of what you're doing. So it become more of a dictatorship than an open platform for different viewpoints and having discussion. And that is not just discerning, but also disheartening, because
Yes.
the whole point is to bring people together to better humanity and society, and to share and collaborate and uplift people. And social media has its great aspects, but also has its very negatives, and people have
Oh,
to
it is.
acknowledge both. So
I agree. I agree. I try not to focus too much on it. I'm not going to worry about what some guy sitting in his underwear in his mom's basement is writing about me on social media. Um, but yeah, I agree. Social media has just created silos and it's just created groupthink. And you know, one of the biggest failings of social media to me is we no longer listen. The art of listening is on life support. And I think one of the greatest gifts you can give to someone is just listen without passing judgment. Just listen.
what'd
That's
you
what
say,
empathy.
Rob?
That's where empathy. That's
Yes.
where empathy starts. Is just the art of listening without passing judgment.
Well, I mean, I totally appreciate and understand where you're coming from. Where my background is most of my family are narcissists.
Okay.
So, and I'm really like the black sheep of my family, not my woolly friend, but the fact that I am, yes. And for those of you who don't know, yes, this guy here is, I am empathetic, and so I
Mhm.
realize it's not all about me. And
Yeah.
you'll have people like my sister that will hold the whole conversation, and God forbid that you chime in, or you give in a set opinion that doesn't coincide with her. She'll snap at you like a jealous poodle, because how
Yeah.
dare you sit there and not make the conversation about me. And I deal with those people. I rather sit
Yeah.
there and scratch my matzo balls across hot asphalt than to deal with those motherfuckers. So so that's what I'm saying, is that the only thing I want toxic is a Britney song, and people like that don't know how to listen because they only hear themselves.
Yeah. Oh, I've definitely had those, you know, narcissistic people in my life. And, you know, and I like to say all relationships fall into one of three categories: a reason, a season, and a lifetime. And, you know, I make it a point to assess, you know, where I'm at in the relationship. Is this for a reason? Is there a reason we're connected? Is it some business relationship or whatever it may be? And if, you know, and then you let those go. Is it a season? And, you know, and I've had those people in my life that definitely have been narcissists. And that season was over for me fast. And I got them out and just moved on. Because there's, you know, I don't want to give that space, because you know the relationships that are most taxing with narcissists is that it's 100% about them, and they just take and take and take and take and take, and are never willing to give. And you know, I know there's no such thing as a perfect 50-50 relationship. It doesn't exist. But, and I always told my children this when they were growing up, that to be a friend, to have friends, you need to be a friend. And it's the same as even when we, you know, get into adulthood. If you want to have friends, you want to have relationships, you need to be a friend. You need to be that relationship builder. And I have yet to meet a narcissist that was a relationship builder.
Yeah, and again, that's something that you and I had, privately. I said, okay, you're kind enough to let me on here. how can I help you out? Because to me,
Yeah.
it's about paying it forward and being appreciative and grateful. And you have interact with me enough where I'm very grateful and appreciative, and I show my gratitude toward people when that they do kind of nice things, because nobody owes you a goddamn thing in this world. And if somebody is kind to you or generous, don't take it for granted, and don't think you're entitled or privileged to get it just because you exist. Nobody owes you
Yeah.
anything. And if people
No.
are nice to you, take that as a luxury, not a requirement.
Yes. Yes. And you know what else is nice? I'm going to tell you what else is nice is the Virtual Friday Whiskey Hour. You've been to the Virtual Friday Whiskey Hour before, Matt. How would you describe it?
It is very eclectic. To me, it's almost like Forrest Gump with a box of chocolates. Oh, what you're gonna get.
That's right. You never know what you're going to get. And you never know what conversation is going to come up. And you never know who's going to say what or when they're going to say it.
Yeah.
But no, it's this Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern time. Go ahead and stop on by. Check it out. Like I said earlier, there's no requirement to drink whiskey. There's no requirement to drink anything, but just show up and enjoy the conversation as we bring actually this 4-day work week to an end. Think about that, 4-day work weeks. I always love 4-day work weeks.
Yeah. Well, for me, the work week is what I make it because I'm self-employed. So.
Yes, well, I agree. It is what we make it. I'm not going to. And I did some work yesterday. Did I put in a full day yesterday? No, I didn't. But I actually got some stuff done yesterday. Got some stuff accomplished, as to launch into this week. And yeah, when you're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, you gotta be ready each and every day to do something. You can't really take time off. And that's when I was in corporate, everybody loved to say, "Oh, I just want to go do my own thing, so I can go play golf or go play tennis or go to the beach whenever I want." Yeah. Good luck with that.
Exactly. You might as well just wait for the unicorn to pass by while you're winning the Powerball numbers. So
yeah.
But people say, "Well, I can't rest on my laurels." Who the hell has ever left on their laurels? And exactly, where are these laurels to rest on?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's laurels. I call it that Uncle Rico effect. If you've ever seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite, actually, we flew up to Ohio a few days ago. That was on the plane, and I hadn't watched it in a while. And have you ever seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite?
I've heard about it. So
okay, yeah, you got to watch it. But Uncle Rico, he's just some guy who's just stuck in the past, and he can't get past his past. He's resting on those laurels, and those laurels that he's resting on are getting him in nowhere in life until he finally, figures it out and snaps out of it. So, but yeah. So I know you're big into self-improvement and self-reflection. So, and so it sounds like kind of what you shared with me with your family, you kind of had to take that journey to really figure out who you are.
True. It's not just figuring out who you are, but more importantly, who you want to be, and who you don't want to be. So
Yeah.
I truly believe that no matter who they are, and despite their age, you can learn from everybody. You can learn from a 5-year-old. You can learn from somebody who's 95. It depends on how open of a person you are in terms of your mindset, and having the mentality that you can always strive to do better. I have failed more in my life than I've succeeded. And so I'm grateful for whatever wins and successes I have, because they have definitely basically overshadowed, the failures I've had. So a narcissist is never going to say that. They'll point the finger at everybody else but themselves. So,
right.
I say, what is the takeaway? What is the learning lesson here? Almost like, giving a summary of the situation and basically ascertaining what exactly has transpired, or basically like a made for TV movie, and what's the conclusion at the end. So
yeah,
and it's okay, what went right, what went wrong, and what can be improved upon, and do I follow up? So really, almost like playing like uh, uh, relationship Sherlock, where there's certain parts of the clues there, and like the IT version of Humpty Dumpty, for me, I put all the pieces back together again. And so that's what it is that what is the takeaway and how do I use this in my life? Do I use it? Do I not use it? Do I help the other person? Do they help me? And where do we go from here? So in IT, everything's very structured. And so that's how I kind of live my life. I very much have an itinerary of what is going to go on. Even today is no exception to that rule. So with you, I'm grateful about who you are and what you're having me on as a guest. What is the takeaway from this? Where do we go from here? And how can I help you at some point down the line in whatever aspect. So again, these are things I'm thinking about where it's not just about me, it's about the other person. And how do you leave a lasting impression? So you may forget somebody's face, you may forget their name, but you usually won't forget how they treated you or how they made you feel.
Right. Exactly. And it's living out of abundance. And that's when you serve people that way, you're living out of abundance. And to kind of circle back to those narcissists, they live their life out of scarcity. And that's the one thing that just drives me insane is people that want to live their life out of scarcity. Because I absolutely believe that when you allow life to flow through you and out of you, what returns to you is tenfold. I absolutely believe that. And it's been shown to me time and time again, people that live out of abundance, they're just giving of themselves. And that's what it is. So now I know you love comedy. You already snapped off a few of your jokes. Do you have a favorite comedian?
Oh my God, it's so many. So for me, I think probably one of my classics was George Carlin.
Okay.
And I also like people like Dave Chappelle or John Panette when he was around. So there are other people out there per se. I would say probably those are probably the big thing. Also, Eddie Murphy, like Raw, that was classic. Like he did an excellent, Bill Cosby impression. So to me, those are some of the really big ones that I happen to like and could spell off the top of my head. But to me, comedy is the great equalizer, and a lot of comedians, and so a lot of comedians actually had suffered from depression, like Robin Williams, unfortunately, or like Roseanne Barr, So it's a way to take things that are relevant in life and give them a humorous take on things to make people happy or happier and make them think, and then bind people together. So to me, that's one of the beauties of comedy when it actually it's worked and it's applied well. So even Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias is also good too. So.
Okay, my wife and I, we watched the Tom Brady roast, and I had no idea who Nikki Glaser was before that, and I'm like, damn, this woman brought it. So now I think she's on Netflix. I think she may appear on. It's got some Netflix specials. I may have to watch because I think that's her usual act that she was up there doing, and I was like, oh, I'm going to check this woman out and just see what her act's all about.
I think the guy who hosted, his name was like Ross something. I forgot the other guy who was hosting it.
I can't remember his name. They kept going after his Judaism. They made fun of that guy, the short fat guy. I can't think what his name is.
Well, thing is, supposedly there was some controversy there where he said something against Brady, and Brady said something to one of them saying not to say that again. So there was some shit that went down on that roast. So
the only rules they had, I did see an interview of Nikki Glaser after the fact, and she said the only rules that they had going in, lay off the kids, nothing about the children. And then I saw an interview of Tom Brady, a few days later, and he regretted doing it because it impacted his children in a negative way. And then they did nothing. They said nothing about his children, but they went after him hard, and they went after their mom hard. And you know what? If you're going to sign up for that, then you got to expect it. You got to expect it.
I mean, you can't be pissed at them if you know what you're signing up for. It's they're there to sit there and offend you, and then you can't get mad at them. It's like you should. But again, people don't know, and everybody takes something different. It's all perception and perspective, Rob. But who are some of your favorite comedians, and who like?
I do like Dave Chappelle. You mentioned George Carlin. His stuff is always going to be classic.
Yep.
And I always enjoyed some of the old time stuff growing up. I've never been much of a fan of slapstick. I'm more into the dark comedy. As far as some of those type movies that can be real dark comedy. I just resonate so much with dark comedy. And I'm just trying to think. You know what? My wife and I, it was on Prime here a couple of years ago, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. We love that show. It was, to me, it was just hilarious, and some of the stuff that was going on in that show. But like I mentioned, Nikki Glazer, I got to check her out after watching her on the Tom Brady roast. I do have to watch that. But I say, you mentioned Dave Chappelle. His stuff is spot on because he doesn't pull punches against anybody.
No,
He'll go after anybody. The comedians that only go after a certain, I'm just like, come on. If the comedian is a liberal and wants to go after conservatives, or the comedian is a conservative only wants to go after liberals, whatever. I mean, but we got to be willing to laugh at ourselves, and those are the people that I can enjoy, that are willing to laugh at themselves.
Sure. And to me, it's, she's actually pretty uncensored, and she's part of the Hebrew herd too, which is, it's funny because like Jewish comedian, which is redundant. So, which is hilarious.
Who's part of the Hebrew herd? Who did you say?
Nikki is.
Oh, she is? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay.
So I know these things, but the thing is, like, I'm from like the tri-state area, and so we are very uncensored. Like the filter's usually off. So to me, it's nothing. It's nothing that I haven't heard, and to me, it's like you have to have thick skin, and so like I'm not everybody's cup of tea,
Yeah.
And so if I get along with you, great. If I don't, then it's Hakuna Matata. But I keep it very real, or keep it 100, as the homies say. So
yeah, yes, yeah, and you're right. We can't be everybody's cup of tea when you're in business. You can't, because if you're trying to please everyone, you're going to please no one. So know who your tribe is, speak their language, take them on that journey with you. And as there was a book I love to read by, his name was Rabbi Daniel Lapin. He says, when you do that, people reward you with little green pieces of paper with dead presidents' pictures on them. And that is 100% true.
That made it funny. That's awesome.
So yeah, it was I can't remember. I can't remember what the name of the book was, but I read it and I'm like, oh, that's some good stuff in here. And that was the one quote, one of the many quotes I took from it. So yes, we need those little green pieces of paper. So
yes, we as we call it Judaism, it's called guilt. With the problem is a lot of times with guilt there is guilt. So
yes. So okay. So my wife, she was born and raised Catholic, and she always talks about the Catholic guilt. And you mentioned the Hebrew guilt. Yes, so I was, I didn't grow up Catholic, but she's always talking about the Catholic guilt. We're not practicing Catholics, but she says that Catholic guilt will never leave you. Is it the same with the Hebrew guilt? It's never going to leave you.
Well, it's funny because there's also like Irish guilt, because one of my very good friends and clients is Irish, and he said that too. It's like, really? There's such a thing?
Yeah.
So I think it's about where you, because of either your religion or your upbringing, there's that sense of consciousness where, okay, is this a right decision to make? And you second guess yourself, or could I do better? So case in point. As I alluded to earlier, I helped that lady set up the LG TV, and so I was so dumbfounded by how awesome that TV was. I said, you know what? I should get a TV, because mine is 9 years old and it's showing its age. And to me, I actually don't watch it because it's not a good experience. So people think technology is just an object, but you have an association with that technology. Does it make you happy? Does it make you miserable or sad or angry? So you associate those human feelings with a piece of technology. How many times have you cursed at your computer, or the internet, or something going down or crashing, or not working? So I was like, you know what? I haven't bought a TV in 9 years, but I barely watch it. So it's like, well, would I watch it if I had a new TV? Because it's so much more compelling. Going from my TV to an OLED is like going from like a tricycle to a Ferrari. And so I'm like trying to justify my cost. I said, should I really sit there and spend the money right now? And so I said, okay, let me see about getting money together. So I said, okay, I took some money out of my business checking account because I earned it just from having it.
Mm-hmm.
I took money out of my Apple savings because I just sitting there. And so the TV, if I buy it, it's only gonna be $500. I said, how can you get a good TV for $500? So after all that guilt, I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go buy it. And I finally bought it yesterday on Memorial Day. But all that guilt had to be associated before I finally came to the conclusion, get a second opinion, and say, okay, now I'm biting the bullet. That to me is a classic example of Jewish.
There it is. Yes, you mentioned the Irish guilt. You know, my wife is second generation American because her grandparents came off the boat from Ireland. So she's double cursed, Irish guilt and Catholic guilt. I didn't realize there was an Irish guilt, but I'll have to touch base on her. You know what? And the internet, I've always heard the reason the speed of the internet improved was because of porn. And there's probably some truth in that. I'm not going to deny that. There's probably some truth in that.
Yes, there is. So that is so funny. But yes. Go ahead.
So no, I was just going to say. So if people want to reach you, what's the best way for them to reach out? I know you got an email address. Is that the best way, or they just want to visit your website? What's the best way to reach you?
Website also. Well, my phone number is in the description with the picture there. You can use your phone camera, take a picture of the QR code, go to my site, or what I'll do too is I will post my LinkedIn in the chat, so you can reach on me there. See more about me and learn about my connections. And if you guys are having technological traumas, trials, tribulations, tragedy, or turmoil, reach out. I'll be more than happy to help you out.
Yes. So, and then as far as the work you do, is it, when you work with somebody, is it one and done, or do you continue to work with them, or do you have different packages for what the customer may need?
Yeah, it's almost like, what they say in the disclaimer, your results may vary. So it really depends on the person and or the business. Is there more pending or not? Like, there will be follow-up calls. I had a small one, yesterday. So if you don't need me, great. If there's still work to be had, or you need me on a continuous basis, I do it on a per diem basis. So depending on the situation, yes, I'll schedule more with you. If you don't need me, then I always tell people, just like a car, every 6 months, get a technological oil change.
Yes, technological oil change. I like that. I don't drive much anymore because I don't really need to. I work from home, so I don't have much. So my technological oil changes on my car have been few and far between, but you still need to do them in order to take care of that car. If you need help, if you need to get out of that ditch, if you need to get in action with what you want to do, we need to have a conversation. So go ahead and jump on my calendar. Let's have that conversation, because I will get you out of the rut. I'll get you in action. I'll help you to bring clarity to what it is you want to accomplish. Quit talking about it and start doing it. That's what's important. Again, one final time, this Friday, the Virtual Friday Whiskey Hour. Go ahead and stop on by. If you want to learn more about it, go ahead and drop me a message. I'll get all that information to you. We go live at 5 p.m. Eastern. Doors open at 4:50. Just go ahead and enjoy the conversation. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Like I share with you, Matt, I'm kind of a fly by the seat of your pants guy. And I just kind of spend my week getting ready for that. Like, what do I really want to talk about? What's really moving me here? I haven't decided yet. I probably need to sit down at some point and figure that out as far as what we're going to talk about. But I'll come up with something. Next Tuesday is Iron Sharpens Iron. Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Just another opportunity to bring people together, create that community as we support one another to build that life of clarity and take action on what it is we want to accomplish. So, Matt, we're kind of coming to the end of this conversation. You have any parting words or parting shots for those out there?
Yes. Be yourself, because everybody else is taken. And also, life is too short and death is too long. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
And they all stink. Exactly. And they all stink. That's it. You know what? You're right. We are unique because there's never going to be another person like nerdy Matt. There's never going to be another person like me. There's never going to be another person like you. There's never going to be another day like today. And that's the uniqueness of life. And sometimes we miss that perspective. We think that, it's another day. Well, you know what? Every day is different. There's going to be something different in every day. There's something unique about each and every one of us. And we have to embrace that uniqueness of who we are as we live this life in order to make the most of it.
Exactly. And the last thing you want to do is be as angry as this guy is. And so this is the Costco version, by the way. And so,
Costco, all right.
yeah, the Costco. I mean, look at how big this bird is. You know, this is
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah,
you know,
it is.
so
You know,
anyway,
they're opening a new Costco down by us in Venice. So it opens next Tuesday, I think. So,
yeah, well, I mean,
so yeah.
have you had a Costco membership before?
Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, I do. I've had a Costco membership for years. So yeah. I'm very familiar with Costco. So actually, my wife and we just stopped at Costco over the weekend when we were up here in Ohio. I can't remember what we had to pick up, but we had to pick up something. Oh, she wanted to look at luggage. She wanted to look at luggage because we had our luggage and we had a broken suitcase. You know, thanks to the airlines, one of our suitcases got destroyed, but it made it. So we probably had to. We need to get get some more luggage before we can fly back to Florida. Actually, she's not flying back to Florida with me. I'm flying back. She's going on elsewhere. She'll meet up with me in Florida at some point, but we had to go there and try and find some luggage to no avail. But we'll find some luggage before.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying to no avail. But we'll find some before we get on the plane.
Yeah, well, to me, I happen to like the Travel Pros. I use those, and those are used also by the airline pilots and stewardess, what have you. So that's probably a good thing to do. But like, for example, a TV I alluded to, Costco, 2-year Costco warranty, 3 years through Allstate, and they have better Wi-Fi support because they have a special Costco model that gives you better model, all for the same price. Like Best Buy would sit there and do it. But again, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I appreciate it, Matt. I appreciate the conversation. Hopefully, I'll see you this Friday at the virtual Friday Whiskey Hour. It's always a fun event. It's always got a great opportunity to connect as we close out the work week. I'm not, I'm up here in Ohio. I may have to go out and buy another bottle of whiskey. I didn't bring any whiskey with me, so I may have to go and get a new bottle to partake. But we'll see. But hey, Matt, I've appreciated this conversation. I appreciate the opportunity to have you on here. Let's make this a great day because it is a unique day. And this day is unique. Embrace that uniqueness. Peace out.